All right, so ready to dive deep into prepping for a construction quality inspector interview.
Sounds good.
We've got a career guide, an interview guide, and even some stuff about this AI platform, RoleCatcher.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be really helpful for people who are getting ready for this kind of interview.
So you're on a construction site,
Yeah?
things are happening all around you,
Yeah.
and you have to make sure everything's being built the right way and safely.
Right. Yeah, as a construction quality inspector, you're really the one making sure that all the standards are being met.
Uh-huh.
You're looking at blueprints, testing materials, identifying any hazards, and you're making sure everything is up to code.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty intense.
It is. It's a demanding job, but it's also incredibly rewarding. You're
Yeah.
directly impacting the safety and quality of the buildings and structures we all use every day.
Right. And the career guide even mentions how inspectors are involved at every stage of the project,
Oh, wow.
like from the very beginning when they're laying the foundation, all the way to the end when they're putting on those finishing touches.
Wow.
And there's even different paths you can take, like you could specialize in a specific type of material,
Right.
or you could move into a management position.
That makes sense. That's really good to know.
Yeah, so let's jump into that interview guide and see what kind of questions they might throw at you.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so first up, could you explain your experience and qualifications for this role?
Okay.
It seems pretty straightforward, but I bet there's a smarter way to answer it than just listing off your past jobs.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to just give them a list of what you've done. You need to show them how your experience actually connects to what they need.
So, like, instead of saying, I've done concrete testing, you might say,
Right.
in my last job, I was in charge of doing slump tests and then analyzing the results to make sure the concrete was strong enough for the project.
Exactly. You're showing them how your skills match up perfectly with their needs.
Okay, so it's like you're speaking their language.
Yeah, and this is where RoleCatcher comes in. Their AI can look at the job description and figure out which skills the employer really wants.
Wow, so it's like having a cheat sheet made just for that job.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it gets even better. You can practice your answers with their AI, and it'll give you feedback on what you say, how you say it, and even your body language.
No way, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another one. How about this? How do you handle conflicts with contractors or construction teams about quality standards?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, you got to be careful with this one because you need to show them you can be firm, but also a team player.
Right. The interviewer wants to see if you can stand your ground, but also work well with everyone.
So just saying, I just tell them to fix it is probably not going to cut it.
No, definitely not. Instead, you want to show them you're good at communicating. You could say something like, I believe in open communication. If there's an issue, I first try to see things from the contractor's point of view. Then I clearly explain the standards and work with them to find a solution that meets everyone's needs.
So it's like you're a problem solver, not just someone who's there to enforce the rules.
Exactly. And, the career guide mentions how important it is to be able to think on your feet and adapt to different situations.
Right, because on a construction site, things are always changing.
All the time.
Okay, here's a question that really gets to the heart of your experience. Can you give an example of a time when you found a quality issue and took action to fix it?
This is your chance to really shine.
Yeah, this is where you want to have a good story ready.
Definitely. And remember, the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. You
Right.
want to set the scene, describe the problem, explain what you did, and highlight the good outcome.
Like you could say something like, during a framing inspection, I noticed the wood they were using wasn't the right grade. This could have made the whole structure weak, so I documented it right away,
Yeah.
stopped them from putting up any more wood, and then worked with the supplier to get the right materials delivered to the site.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You clearly laid out the problem, what you did, and how you solved it.
Yeah, and it shows, your stuff, you're proactive and you're serious about quality.
Exactly. And now imagine if you ran that answer through RoleCatcher's AI. You might get feedback on how to tweak it for certain jobs, like maybe they really value teamwork, so you could emphasize how you worked with the contractor and the supplier to get things fixed.
So it's like having a coach helping you improve your answers.
You got it.
This is great. All right, next question. How do you stay up to date with changes in industry standards and regulations?
Okay.
This one feels like they want to see that you're committed to keeping your knowledge fresh.
For sure. The construction world is always changing with new technology, materials, and codes.
Right, so you can't just rely on what you learned years ago.
Nope. You got to show them you're actively learning and staying ahead of the game.
Okay, so tell them about any professional groups you're part of, publications you read, or conferences you attend.
Right, and maybe even mention any courses you've taken to learn about new codes and stuff.
Yeah, and the career guide mentions certifications like the Certified Construction Quality Inspector 1. That's a great way to show you're serious about your career.
Definitely. Okay, what's next?
How do you make sure all the documentation is accurate and up to date?
Documentation.
Right, because this job is all about being organized and paying attention to the details.
That's what the career guide says, too.
Exactly. So you don't want to tell them, I'm not really a paperwork person.
No way.
Yeah.
Instead, highlight your system for keeping track of everything.
Like maybe you could say something like, I use a digital app to record all my findings with pictures and notes, and then I sync it to the cloud so everyone on the team can see it and everything's backed up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You've shown them that you're organized, you know how to use technology, and you understand how important it is to have a clear record of everything.
Right. Okay. How do you communicate with construction teams and contractors about quality issues?
Another communication one.
Yeah, this one builds on that earlier question about conflicts.
Yeah.
But here the focus is on making sure everyone understands what you're saying.
Right, because you're dealing with people from all different backgrounds, some who might not even speak English as their first language.
So you have to avoid using jargon or technical terms they might not understand.
Exactly. Be clear and concise. Maybe say something like, I like to have face-to-face conversations whenever possible to make sure everyone's on the same page. And I always follow up in writing so we have a record of what we talked about.
That shows you're organized and you want to be sure everyone is literally on the same page.
Right. And the career guide talks about how important it is to build relationships with everyone on site.
Yeah, you're not just there to police them. You're part of the team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next question?
How do you prioritize your workload and manage your time effectively?
Time management, a classic.
Yeah, this is crucial on a construction site where everything's always moving and changing.
Right. You got to stay on top of things.
So you can't just say, I just wing it.
No way. You got to show them you've got a system. Talk about your strategies, like using a project management app, creating to-do lists, or prioritizing tasks based on what's most urgent.
You could say, I'm all about planning and staying organized. I use a digital task manager to schedule inspections, keep track of progress, and set reminders so I don't miss anything.
That's a good one. You're showing them you're organized and can handle a busy workload.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI could come in handy again.
Oh, how so?
It could look at the job description and see if they really care about certain project management skills.
Right.
And then you could tweak your answer to mention those skills, even if they didn't specifically ask about them.
Very smart. Okay, what else we got?
How do you train and mentor junior quality inspectors?
So this one's geared towards more experienced folks.
Yeah, but even if you're just starting out, they might want to see if you have leadership potential.
That makes sense.
So don't just say, I focus on my own work.
But think about times when you've helped coworkers or taught them something new. Like maybe you showed a new employee how to use a software program or explained a complicated code to someone. Exactly. You could say something like, I like to share what I know and help others learn. I break down complex topics into easy steps, provide hands-on training, and encourage people to ask questions. That's great. You're showing them you're a team player and you care about helping others grow.
And again, RoleCatcher could suggest tailoring your answer based on the company culture.
You're right. Maybe they really value hands-on learning, so you could emphasize your experience with that.
It's like having a personalized guide to help you ace every interview.
I like that.
This is amazing. All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll tackle some even tougher questions and dig deeper into how RoleCatcher can help you nail that interview.
Sounds good. I'm ready for more.
All right, we'll be right back.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so we're back, ready to tackle some more of these interview questions.
Yeah, these next few can be a bit tougher because they're not just about the technical stuff. They're about how you handle things like communication and working with other people.
Okay, so like people skills.
Exactly.
All right, let's hear one.
Okay, how about this? Can you explain how you approach working with other departments like engineering or project management?
So it's about understanding how everyone's role fits together.
Right, because a quality building depends on everyone working together, not just the quality inspector.
So you can't just say, I just do my own thing.
No, definitely not. You need to show them you can collaborate with different teams and handle any conflicts that come up.
Okay, so maybe you could talk about a time when you had to work closely with engineers or project managers.
Right. How did you build those relationships and communicate effectively, especially when things got complicated?
Yeah, that's a good point. You could say something like, I think good communication and collaboration are really important for a construction project to be successful. I make sure to go to project meetings, listen carefully to everyone, and speak up if anything seems unclear. And if there are any disagreements, I focus on finding solutions that work for everyone while still making sure we're meeting quality standards.
That's a great answer. You're showing them you understand how to work as part of a team.
Yeah, and I bet RoleCatcher could help you tweak that answer even more.
How so?
Well, maybe the company really emphasizes teamwork in their job description.
Okay.
So you could highlight your experience working in teams and how good you are at communicating with people from different departments.
That makes sense. You're always tailoring your answer to what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, here's another tricky one. How would you handle a situation where you found a serious safety violation that could delay the project?
Ooh, this is a tough one.
Yeah, it's about ethics and making the right call, even when it's hard.
They want to see if you'll speak up, even if it means the project might get delayed or someone might get upset.
So you definitely can't say, I just ignore it.
Absolutely not. Safety is always the top priority. You need to explain how you would handle this situation by the book.
Like you could say, if I found a serious safety violation, I would stop any work that could be dangerous right away and document everything. Then I tell the site supervisor and the safety team and work with them to find a solution that fixes the safety problem, but also minimizes any delays.
Perfect. You're showing them you're decisive, you're proactive, and you're not afraid to do what's right.
And it goes back to what we were saying before about clear communication and documentation.
Exactly. Everything needs to be recorded properly.
Okay, so how about this one? How would you go about investigating a construction defect?
This one's all about your detective skills.
Yeah, you need to show them you can be systematic and figure out what went wrong.
They're looking for someone who can gather evidence, analyze information, and come to a logical conclusion.
So you can't just say, I just ask around and see what people think happened.
No, you need to be much more thorough than that.
Okay, so what should you say?
Well, you could describe your step-by-step process for investigating something like this.
Okay, so like first I'd collect all the important documents like plans, specifications, and inspection reports. Then I'd visit the site and carefully examine the defect, taking pictures and making detailed notes. I'd talk to the people who built that part of the structure to understand what happened. And finally, I'd analyze all the information using my knowledge of building codes and construction practices to figure out what caused the defect and recommend how to fix it.
Excellent. You've shown them you're methodical, you pay attention to detail, and you can use your expertise to solve problems.
And I bet you could use RoleCatcher to make that answer even stronger.
Right. If the job description mentions experience with a specific type of defect, you could highlight that expertise.
Okay, so you're always customizing your answer to the specific job.
Always. Now, how about this classic question? What are your greatest strengths as a construction quality inspector?
This feels like a chance to brag a little bit.
It is, but in a good way. This is where you highlight the things that make you a great inspector.
Okay, so go beyond the obvious stuff like hardworking and detail-oriented.
Right. Think about what really sets you apart and what aligns with the company's values.
Like what?
Well, you could talk about your problem-solving skills, your communication skills, your commitment to safety, or your passion for quality.
So you could say something like, one of my greatest strengths is being able to see potential problems before they happen. I'm always looking for ways to improve things and prevent defects, and I'm not afraid to speak up if I see something that could affect quality or safety.
That's a great example. It shows you're proactive and you're always thinking ahead.
And it connects back to what the career guide says about risk management and preventing problems.
Exactly. You're not just reacting to things, you're trying to stop them from happening in the first place.
Okay, so we've talked about strengths. Now let's talk about weaknesses. What is your greatest weakness as a construction quality inspector?
The dreaded weakness question.
This one always feels like a trap.
It can be, but remember, everyone has weaknesses. The interviewer just wants to see if you're self-aware and willing to learn.
So you can't say, I don't have any weaknesses?
Definitely not. That makes you sound arrogant.
Okay, so what should you do?
Pick a weakness that's relevant to the job but not a deal breaker, and most importantly, talk about how you're working to improve it.
Like you could say, sometimes I get so focused on the details that I lose sight of the bigger picture. So I'm working on my time management skills and learning to prioritize tasks better.
That's a good one. It shows you're aware of your weakness and you're taking steps to fix it.
And RoleCatcher could help you frame this answer too.
Right. Maybe the company values being able to adapt to change, so you could mention that you're working on that.
Okay, so it's all about showing that you're always trying to improve.
Exactly. Now, towards the end of the interview, they'll probably ask, do you have any questions for me?
Okay, this is your chance to shine.
It is. This is where you show them you've done your research, you're interested, and you're thinking ahead.
So don't ask about things you could easily find online or just about your own needs, like salary.
Right. Ask questions that show you understand the company and their goals.
Okay, so like what?
You could ask about their company culture, their approach to quality management, their commitment to sustainability, or their plans for the future.
You could also ask about the team you'd be working with, opportunities for professional development, or the company's values.
Those are all great questions. They show you're really engaged in thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, and remember, the interview's a two-way street. You're also evaluating them.
That's right. Pay attention to how they answer your questions and their overall vibe.
Trust your gut feeling. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't.
Well said. It's about finding a place where you can thrive and do your best work.
Speaking of thriving, let's talk about RoleCatcher's Get Discovered feature.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
It's where employers can actually find you based on your skills and experience.
It's like flipping the script. Instead of just applying for jobs, you're letting the right jobs come to you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So RoleCatcher is really a powerful tool for job seekers.
Definitely. It helps you prepare for interviews, showcase your skills, and connect with the right employers.
This whole deep dive has been so helpful. I think we've covered pretty much everything someone needs to know to ace a construction quality inspector interview.
I agree. We talked about those tough questions, how to present yourself, and even how to use AI to your advantage.
And most importantly, we emphasize the importance of not just knowing the technical stuff, but also being a good communicator, a problem solver, and a team player.
Absolutely. Those skills are essential for success in any job.
All right, so before we wrap up, let's talk about those intangible qualities that can really make a candidate stand out in an interview.
It's true. Those little things can make a big difference.
All right, they show you're not just qualified, but you'd be a great fit for their team.
It's about showing those things that don't show up on a resume,
Uh-huh.
like a passion for quality and safety, a can-do attitude, a strong work ethic, and just a positive personality.
So it's not enough to just say you're passionate. You have to actually show it.
Exactly. It has to come through in how you answer questions, your energy, your whole
Have
vibe.
that spark in your eye when you talk about making sure a building is built right.
Yeah, you got to show your enthusiasm for the construction industry, your dedication to doing a good job, and your willingness to be part of a team that shares those values.
And the career guide actually mentions this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says employers want people who are not only good at the technical stuff, but also have good people skills and a real interest in the field.
That makes sense. They want someone who's going to be a positive influence on the team, someone who wants to learn and grow, and someone who takes pride in their work.
And that pride is contagious.
You're right. It can inspire the whole team to do their best.
It's about creating a culture of quality and safety, where everyone's working together towards the same goal.
I like that. And this brings me back to that part of the interview where you get to ask questions.
Right.
This is where you can really show your curiosity and your initiative.
So instead of asking about salary or vacation time, ask questions that show you understand the company's goals and values.
Like you could ask about their sustainability practices, their commitment to innovation, or their efforts to create a diverse and inclusive workplace.
Those questions show you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a company where you can make a real difference.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions based on what the interviewer says. It shows you're really listening.
And remember, the interview is a two-way street.
It is. You're not just there to be judged. You're also judging them.
Right. Pay attention to their answers, their body language, how they make you feel.
If something doesn't feel right, trust your gut.
Even if the job sounds perfect on paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to find a place where you feel valued and where you can do your best work.
Wow, this whole conversation has been so insightful.
I agree.
We've covered everything from answering those tough interview questions to understanding those deeper qualities that make a construction quality inspector truly great.
And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher.
Right? They have tons of resources to help you with your job search.
Their AI tools, career advice, and networking features can really give you an advantage.
All right, so we've come to the end of our deep dive into prepping for a construction quality inspector interview.
It's been a great discussion.
We've talked about those challenging questions, those intangible qualities, and even how to use AI to your advantage.
I hope our listeners feel ready to go out there and nail those interviews.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Imagine you're walking onto that construction site. You hear the sounds of hammers and cranes all around you.
I can picture it.
What's that one thing that makes you smile and say, This is why I love this job. What's that feeling of satisfaction, that sense of pride that fuels your passion for building a better and safer world?
That's a great question.
Hold on to that feeling as you prepare for your interviews and throughout your career.
Because those are the moments that make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for listening, everyone, and best of luck in your job search.